The Dominion of had conquered 17 star systems in the last 300 cycles. Their warships moved through the galaxy like a spreading disease, consuming everything in their path. Commander Al stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Hunger, watching the distant yellow star grow larger on the viewing screens. His four arms were folded behind his back, and his dark eyes reflected the cold light of distant suns. "Report," he said, his voice like grinding stones. "Commander, we are approaching the third planet of this system. Initial scans show primitive electromagnetic signals, radio waves, basic communication technology," reported Science Officer N, her thin fingers dancing across the control panels. "They call their world Earth, population approximately 8 billion, no faster-than-light capability detected, no energy shields, no plasma weapons." Al allowed himself a rare smile. His sharp teeth gleamed in the dim light of the bridge. This would be easy. Another primitive species, another world to add to the Dominion's collection. The inhabitants would make excellent slaves, or perhaps food, depending on their biological compatibility. "How many ships do they possess?" asked Al. "Scanning now, Commander." N paused, her expression showing confusion. "Strange. They have thousands of satellites in orbit, primitive chemical rockets, a few small stations circling their planet, but no warships, no defense fleet, nothing that could even scratch our hull paint." Laughter rippled through the bridge crew. This species had not even mastered basic space combat. They were still playing with rockets and satellites, while the Dominion commanded vessels that could crack planets in half. "Send a message to," Al ordered. "Tell them we have found another world ripe for harvest. We will secure it within 3 rotations and begin resource extraction immediately." The communication officer, a young male named L, began preparing the quantum transmission. The message would reach in moments, traveling through the fabric of space itself. The Dominion would be pleased. Another victory, another conquered species, another notch on Al's already impressive record. The fleet of 47 warships entered the system in standard formation. The Eternal Hunger led the way, followed by 3 heavy cruisers and dozens of smaller attack vessels. It was overkill for a primitive world, but Al believed in overwhelming force. Why take chances when you could simply crush your enemies without effort? As they passed the outer planets, N noticed something strange on her scanners. Small objects were moving in the asteroid belt, thousands of them. At first, she assumed they were natural, just rocks floating in space. But their movement patterns were too regular, too organized. "Commander, I am detecting artificial structures in the asteroid belt," she reported, uncertainty creeping into her voice. "They appear to be mining operations, automated facilities, but the technology—" "What about it?" Al demanded. "It does not match the primitive signals we detected from there. These facilities are highly advanced. Quantum processors, fusion reactors, fabrication systems that rival our own." Al waved his upper arms dismissively. "They probably found ancient technology from a dead civilization. It happens. Primitive species sometimes stumble upon relics they cannot understand. Continue approach." But N was not satisfied. She continued scanning, and what she found made her blood run cold. Hidden among the asteroids were structures that were definitely not mining facilities. They were large, angular, and covered in something that absorbed scanner waves. She could only see them because they blocked the stars behind them. "Commander," she said slowly, "I believe we are being watched." Before Al could respond, the screens flickered. A face appeared on every display in the fleet simultaneously. It was a human face, old and weathered, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. The human wore a simple uniform with a single golden star on the collar. "Attention, unidentified vessels," the human said in perfect language. "This is Admiral Sarah of the Solar Defense Network. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves and state your intentions, or you will be considered hostile." Al stared at the screen in disbelief. How did they know his language? How had they intercepted his communications? And what was the Solar Defense Network? His scans had shown no military presence, no weapons platforms, nothing. "This is Commander Al of the Dominion of," he replied, recovering his composure. "Your world now belongs to the Dominion. Surrender immediately and we may spare some of your population. Resist and you will all die." Admiral's expression did not change. She simply nodded slowly, as if she had expected this response. "I see. Then I must inform you that all 17 vessels you sent to scout our system over the past decade have been captured and studied. We know everything about your technology, your weapons, your weaknesses. We have been waiting for you." The bridge fell silent. 17 scout ships. The Dominion had sent probes to this system, yes, but they had all reported success before losing contact. Technical malfunctions had said, "Space is dangerous." "You are lying," Al hissed. "Am I?" The Admiral raised an eyebrow. "Tell me, Commander, do you know why no species in this region of the galaxy has ever heard of humans? Why we do not appear in any galactic records? Why our radio signals suddenly went silent 60 years ago?" Al said nothing. His mind was racing. "It is because we learned the truth," Admiral continued. "We detected your Empire's signals a century ago. We watched you conquer species after species. We saw what you did to the peaceful, how you turned their children into slaves and their elders into food. We decided then that when you came for us, you would find something different, so we went dark. We stopped all external signals. We hid our true development, and we prepared." On the scanner screen, something impossible was happening. The asteroid belt was moving. No, not the asteroids. Things were emerging from the asteroids. Thousands of them. Tens of thousands. Ships that had been hidden in hollowed-out rocks, waiting in cold silence for decades. Each one was black as night, shaped like daggers, and covered in weapons that END scanners could not even identify. "We spent 60 years building this fleet in secret," the Admiral said. "We reverse-engineered every piece of technology from your captured scouts. Then we improved it. Your plasma cannons now seem like toys to us. Your shields are made of paper compared to ours. Your faster-than-light drives are slow and clumsy next to what we have created." Al felt something he had not felt in 300 years of conquest: fear. "Attack!" he screamed. "All ships attack now." The Dominion fleet opened fire. Plasma bolts and kinetic rounds filled space with deadly light. But the human ships simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next they were gone. They reappeared behind the Dominion vessels, inside their formations, above and below them. It was impossible. No ship could move that fast. The counterattack was swift and brutal. Beams of energy that burned hotter than stars cut through Dominion shields like they were not there. Missiles that moved faster than thought slammed into hulls and detonated with the force of small suns. The heavy cruiser Pride of exploded in a ball of fire that consumed 3 smaller ships around it. "Shields failing," someone screamed on the bridge. "Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. We have lost contact with half the fleet." Al watched in horror as his proud armada was torn apart in minutes. The human ships danced through space like ghosts, appearing and disappearing, striking and vanishing before any return fire could find them. It was not a battle. It was a slaughter. On the screen, Admiral watched with cold eyes. "You should know," she said, "that we are not cruel like you. We do not enjoy this. But we have learned from watching your empire. We know that mercy is weakness to species like yours. We know that if even one ship escapes, you will return with more. So none of you will escape. None of you will return to warn the Dominion. When your wonders what happened to this fleet, they will receive only silence." L, the communications officer, desperately tried to send a warning too. But the quantum transmission failed. Something was blocking it. The humans had technology that could interfere with quantum communications, something the Dominion's best scientists had declared impossible. "Please," Al found himself saying, "we can negotiate, we can offer you." "You have nothing we want," Admiral cut him off. "Except your ships, which we will take, and your knowledge, which we will extract from your computers. Your crew will be given a choice. Accept peaceful relocation to a colony world where you will live out your lives without weapons or ships, or refuse and face the consequences. We are not monsters, but we will not allow monsters to threaten us." The Eternal Hunger shuddered as something locked onto its hull. End screens showed human boarding craft attaching to multiple points on the ship. Emergency alerts blared throughout the vessel. Al reached for his personal weapon, but a flash of light filled the bridge. When his vision cleared, he found himself surrounded by human soldiers in powered armor. Their weapons hummed with barely contained energy. A human officer stepped forward, her face hidden behind a reflective visor. "Commander Al," she said, "by the authority of the United Earth Government, you are under arrest for crimes against sentient life. You will stand trial for the destruction of the... You will answer for 12 billion deaths." As they dragged him from his own bridge, Al saw something that would haunt him for the rest of his long imprisonment. Through the viewport, he watched the last of his fleet die. The final Dominion ship, a small courier vessel, tried to flee toward the edge of the system. It almost made it, but a single human ship appeared directly in its path and fired once. The courier vanished in a flash of light. 6 months later, the Dominion Council gathered in their great hall on. They stared at star charts and reports with growing unease. 47 ships had been sent to conquer a primitive world. None had returned. No messages had been received. It was as if the entire fleet had simply ceased to exist. "Perhaps they encountered a spatial anomaly," suggested one council member. "A black hole or unstable wormhole." "Impossible," replied another. "Our navigational data showed the route was clear." "Then what happened?" No one had an answer. They could only stare at the yellow dot on their star charts, the tiny sun called Sol, and wonder. They sent probe after probe, but none returned. They sent scout ships, but none came back. It was as if something in that system was swallowing every vessel that entered. The Dominion began to avoid that region of space. They told themselves it was not fear, just caution. There were plenty of other systems to conquer, plenty of other species to enslave. Why waste resources on one stubborn star system? But in quiet moments, alone in their chambers, the council members sometimes thought about that distant yellow sun. They thought about what might be hiding there, in the darkness between planets. They thought about 47 warships and thousands of crew members who had simply vanished. And deep in the Sol system, humanity continued to build. They expanded their hidden fleet. They improved their technology. They watched the stars with patient eyes, waiting, because they knew the Dominion would come again someday. They knew that empires built on conquest could not ignore a mystery forever. When that day came, humanity would be ready, and once again nothing would come back to speak of it.